It's day 18 of the Advent season. Today we're going to be talking about joy in our Redeemer. The verse comes out of the Old Testament prophet Habakkuk, and it's actually Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17 and 18. I'm going to jump right into it, and this is what he says. Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. Now, Habakkuk tells us that even though there's no fruit to eat, no crops to sell, no animals to eat, or no animals to sell. So basically, he has no money or food. He has no idea what he's going to do because he doesn't have any means to get money or food because everything's gone. Everything's dried up. Everything's pretty much a famine at that point. Even though all those bad things either did happen to him or would happen to him or could happen to him, he rejoices in the Lord. And it's the joy that lies with the God of salvation. So when he rejoices to the Lord, he is filled with joy knowing that he is redeemed by his God. Now, let's talk about the Old Testament view of salvation. And this is kind of just what I picked up with a little bit of research and a little bit of Bible study. But it basically boils down to this. The way they achieve salvation in the Old Testament, so before Jesus Christ, is they put their faith in God's promises. Now, the big one that sticks out to us, the main one that sticks out to me right now in this season of Advent, is the promise of the Messiah that would redeem them. So when they believed that they were going to get redeemed by a Messiah later on in life, I don't know exactly how far apart Habakkuk and Jesus Christ was, but I'm pretty sure Isaiah and Jesus Christ, another prophet from the Old Testament, was about 600 or 700 years apart. So you can kind of scope it in there. I know the events of the Old Testament and the New Testament are about 400 years apart. So you can kind of scope it in there. That's a long time for people to have hope and for people to still find joy in someone that is going to give them salvation eventually, even if that is 400 years later, or a promise that is going to happen 400 years later. They still had faith in that. So that's how they kind of achieve their salvation in what I've read and what I've kind of gathered. And it only makes sense for this Advent season because just like they were waiting on Christ to come through the Virgin Mary into this world to redeem them, we can find joy in knowing that we are already redeemed with this act that Jesus Christ did for us that we read in the New Testament. We can have joy in that every single day while we wait on the return of our Redeemer. So today, I just want you to stop and think and realize that these guys in the Old Testament were going through way more struggles than we are today, especially here in the United States. They go through way more troubles than us. The worst thing that happens to me is I stub my toe, or I might not have X amount of dollars in a bank account. And to them, they didn't have anything, and they still had joy that they were going to get redeemed by a Messiah that came 700 years later. And so just remember that we are already redeemed with that same Messiah, and we are just waiting joyfully for his return, that we can live an everlasting, infinite life with him in his Father's house.